Hello. Whatever actions we perform, whatever emotions we experience, and whatever thought we have, it all originates in the brain. And this is enough of a testimony to how complex the organ is as the central command of the human body. This complex organ consists of roughly 86 billion cells called neurons. A very impressive number, isn't it? As complex as it is, the brain is a very fragile organ, and this is the reason why it is protected in a number of ways. First, the brain swims in a fluid known as the cerebrospinal fluid. And this fluid acts as a buffer against any external shocks, and it also reduces the impact of any sudden movement. The brain is also protected by a number of layers. Let's say a number of shells. The first of these layers, which is the hardest of course, is the cranial bone. Apart from this bone, there are three more additional layers. These are known as meninges, hence the term meningitis, la meningite. These three meninges are the dura mater. Dura comes from hard in French, dur. Mater is mother. It's like a hard mother, so it's the next hardest protective layer. Towards the inside, there is the second meninge, which is referred to as the arachnoid mater. Mater from mother, arachnoid, because anatomically it has this shape of a spider web. Then the layer that is closest to the brain is called the pia mater. Pia means tender, which means that its tissue is not as hard as the bone, and not as hard as the arachnoid, nor as hard as the dura mater. So as you can see, our amazing brain is well cushioned, is well protected. The human brain consists of the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, and it is involved in involuntary activities such as reasoning, emotions, speech, vision, and motor skills. The cerebrum has three parts called lobes, each associated with certain functions. These lobes are the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. The frontal lobe is involved in reasoning, planning, and movement, while the parietal lobe is involved in the processing of sensory information and spatial awareness. The occipital lobe is basically involved in visual processing. We have always heard that if someone receives a hard shock on the neck, this person is likely to lose vision. The explanation is that the occipital lobe is located at the back of the skull. And finally, the parietal lobe is involved in the processing of hearing, language, and memory. The cerebellum, which is located beneath the cerebrum, acts like a coordinator. It is actually referred to as the part of the brain that maintains balance and coordinates muscle activities. The third part of the brain is referred to as the brain stem, and this serves as a connection between the brain, the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the spinal cord. The brainstem consists of the midbrain, which controls visual and auditory processing, the pons, which is involved in breathing and coordinating communication among the parts of the brain, and it is also involved in sensory information. For the control of autonomic functions like heartbeats, like digestion, this is the job of the third part of the brainstem, which is called the medulla oblongata. In our next videos, we will further dig into brain anatomy, macroscopic and microscopic. Thank you very much.